So the demo tape that started it all, huh? With 50 grand? You did 50 grand?
Yeah, it was actually Big, one of Big's best friends, D-Rock, Damian Butler, who
Right.
introduced 50 to Big, or Biggie to 50, because he was like, yo, my man raps and he's good. And they ended up, long story short, they recorded a demo, and Big recorded the demo like in one take, like fresh off of who knows how many blunts, who knows how many 40s. Like, he was lit. But when you're naturally gifted at something as rapping was to Big, then it just can't. You can do it in one take. So that demo tape made it into the hands of DJ Mr. C, who basically polished up the demo tape, got it into Matty C at the Source, who put him in the unsigned hype, which got
Yeah.
him to Puffy, who was still at Uptown at that point. And so that's how that happened. So the thing is, Biggie never shopped his music. Biggie was
Right.
never like, "Yo, I rap, I'm good." He was Biggie, in a sense. Biggie was always scared of rejection. He didn't want
Mm.
anybody to tell him no, or this isn't good enough. When in reality, it was phenomenal. But I can also understand that vulnerability too. So people always shopped Biggie's music for him, not just because like, oh, I'm gonna do this guy a favor,
Mm.
but really because like, no, I believe in this kid. Like, this
Yeah.
kid is nice,
Yeah.
and yeah, it turns out
Yeah.
they
I
were
mean,
right.
you get that book, you've got to read this. You've got to hear this. You've got to hear this guy.
Yeah, you
Right.
gotta hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to ask a couple lightning round questions. And if I don't expect you to know every single thing that, about his life. So if you don't know, don't worry about it. If you don't want to answer, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, just his lyrical skills.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a best bar of his
Cool.
or
Uh,
two?
I don't know if it's his best, but the verse that sticks out to me the most, and the one that resonates with me the most, is the third verse on "Sky's the Limit."
Okay.
The one we took. If the game shakes me or breaks me, I hope it makes me a better man. Take a better
Mm,
stand. Put money in my mom's. That verse, because I feel like Biggie Smalls is obviously one of the greatest rappers of all time, but I feel like on that song, that was Christopher Wallace rapping. That
mm.
was that was him saying where he wanted to take his life, and why he was so excited about the future, and what it could have been. So at this point, I would say the third verse on "Sky's the Limit."
How about get up in that ass quick fast like Ramadan?
Yeah, big was wild. Yeah, that definitely deserves it. Damn, it feels good to see people up on it. Flip 2 keys in 2 weeks and didn't flaunt it. Like, from Young G's. Like, I could go on and on about those lyrics, but
I
yeah.
mean, I learned from one of my friends. You were talking about like the early Napster era. They had like a million songs that were like not bootlegs. That's not the word, but you know what I mean. Like anybody can make it or give or record this much of the song and whatever, or mash
Yeah,
these two together. But like I learned a lot about like I'm like, oh man, a freestyle is a freestyle. Like man, but they're not always freestyles. Sometimes they're verses. They know. But
yeah.
what did you learn about like just his freestyle just off the top ability?
Oh man, he was one of those type of people that was always paying attention to surroundings, and like the people around him, and like, oh, let me make note of this, let me make note of that. So
Hmm.
uh he never wrote anything down.
Hmm.
So when you hear a verse like it's all about the Benjamins, you hear that Donnie Brasco reference in that verse, it's
Yeah,
because he had just seen the movie a couple of
that
hours
was great in
earlier.
the book. That was awesome. That was
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
So if he saw something around him going on, he would put it into a song. So it like, I don't know if that answers your question in terms of freestyling, but
I hear
like
you.
he was always a person that paid attention to everything that was happening around him, because you never know, it could make it into the Lil C's losing his front row of teeth in that car accident.
Oh God.
I make your mouthpiece so beast like Della Reese.
Oh
When
my
I
God, I never put
squeeze,
that
you
together. I
lose
never
teeth.
put
You
that
lose teeth
together.
like Lil C's. Yeah.
God, dang.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So I guess it's probably an obvious question, but he was obviously a huge like mafia, like
Mm-hmm.
aficionado, right?
Yeah.
Frank White.
Mm-hmm.
I love the
Drink.
line. Well, I mean, Sinatra wasn't technically a mobster, but I love the line about what's the line in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
In
He,
Brooklyn's
he
finest,
ran around with him a lot.
my ties like Sinatra, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Man, man.
Yeah.
I,
And you. And you
Go
know,
ahead.
Ready to Die was originally supposed to be called Teflon Don,
Right.
which
I
was
learned that from
based
the
off a
book.
homage to John Gotti. Yeah. So
Right.
he definitely loved the mafia.
Okay. So how about, so was I Got a Story to Tell? Was that Anthony Mason? For sure. For sure.
That, yeah, I mean, that's what Fat Joe says. Anthony
Hmm.
Mason, who Anthony Mason probably would have been one of my last two guesses. From those Knicks squads, I've been like, man, ain't nobody messing with Anthony Mason, ain't nobody messing with Charles Oakley. But yeah, according to Fat
Right.
Joe, what he said, I believe it was on Highly Questionable that one
Okay.
time. Yeah, so yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that's
about
right. It was an
Anthony
ESPN
Mason.
one too. Oh man,
Yep.
man. So the book again. I mean, we didn't talk a lot of details, but there's that last chapter. Like you said, there's really that distinction between Christopher Wallace and Biggie Smalls, which in just describing it could come off as corny. It is so nuanced. It's so good. I would consider myself to know more than a little bit more than half of people do about Biggie. Like I'm not an
Yeah.
expert, but I definitely know a good amount. I learned so much more respect for his mom. I already had a lot, and yeah, just the fact of his age and the potential, and it really does come down to what you talk about. Like, just get to know me, man.
Yeah.
I just huge congratulations. People need to read this book. Um, Even the freaking cover is so awesome, so cool.
Yeah.
The little gold lettering on the side.
Yep.
I just absolutely devoured it, and I'm a big hip hop head, but I think people who aren't, which I know, are still gonna love it. There's just so much going on. I'd love if you have a chance to read there. We talked about in the finished copy. I think it's page 321.
Yeah.
This is towards the end. I felt like it really kind of summed up just what's so great about this book.
Yeah, so I'll read this passage and hopefully I don't stumble over too many words here. But let's give it a shot. This is in one of the last few chapters, maybe the last chapter before the second to the last chapter, rather. So yeah, page 321 in the book. Now, granted, Big had a choice. He didn't have to hit that corner and go from honor roll student who likely could have obtained a scholarship to his pick of schools. But how much could he have realized the choice that he had? Outside of his mother, the depth of role models with quote unquote traditional career and life paths were few and far between. Also, Big was young when he finally stepped off that stoop. It's not uncommon for young people to make foolish short term decisions. He made a bad choice, but it's hard to totally fault Big. That is one thing about Big I hope people appreciate and understand. He made a bad choice because that bad choice seemed like the only choice in the moment. And he stopped making that choice when he found a viable alternative. I can honestly tell you, in a different environment, that kid would have been Shakespeare. Obviously, we probably would have been deprived of Biggie and his wonderful works, but at that same time, the things he was exposed to really had serious consequences, said Smart, who was one of his childhood friends. I don't mean to be dramatic, but it's just very close to my heart. I've seen so many kids that were gifted and just threw it away, you know? Travel through Big's journey, and there are countless times you'll ask yourself why, or even begging your mind, or even begging your, excuse me, or even begging your mind for him to take a different route. His success is a tale of ghetto triumph, but there's also sides to his personality that deserve further examination in a world where uncomfortable conversations are way more out in the open than they were when he walked the earth. In life, Big, like so many other Black men, misunderstood by society, beloved by his community, and wielding his talent to make space for himself in the wider world. The words he spoke with that one-of-a-kind flow and the stories he brought to life captured what it was like grown up Black in America and the horrors that he experienced. Excuse me, let me read that sentence one more time. The words he spoke with that one-of-a-kind flow and the stories he brought to life captured what it was like growing up Black in America and the horrors that experience brought. But it's also countless beauties, and somewhere in the middle, the uncomfortable complexities of it all, too. His music was never monolithic because he wasn't, because none of us are. His art has outlived him. In some ways, it makes it seem like he never really left. Walk into any party right now and turn on Big Papa, One More Chance, Players Anthem, More Money, More Problems, or any song from his brief yet incredibly prolific catalog and gauge the reaction. Say spread love is the Brooklyn way and try not to smile. Pull up on the corner of Fulton Street in St. James Place, or as it's known now, Christopher, Notorious B.I.G, Wallace way. Or watch his Martin episode and try not to laugh. When we talk about the word legacy, Christopher Wallace has just that.
Man, thank you so much. I feel like that really summed it up. And on that page, as you read it, it's a 10 out of 10. But when it, along with all the other context from the beginning of the book, it's a 12 out of 10 because it really encapsulates, like you talk about so many facets of his life. And man, he was young.
Yeah,
man, he was young.
Definitely young, bro. Definitely young.
Appreciate that so much. Appreciate your time. I wonder where. I mean, I know there's a lot of places, but any particular places you love people to go buy the book?
Yeah, I mean, well, I always try to support Black-owned bookstores. I'm always a big fan of that. But of course, you get it off Amazon. You can probably get it off cheap on Amazon. Books A Million, basically wherever they sell books. So start with the Black-owned bookstores and then branch out.
There you go. I mean, you got too much good stuff like AM/PM back in the day. I mean, I would love to talk more even about the Nipsey Hussle podcast. Living in LA, and like I said, being a hip hop head, but I feel like I did not get a lot of Nipsey, and I felt like I learned so much from it. You can find it on ESPN, and I'll put it in the series notes on the podcast, the 30 for 30. It's there's your Dwayne Wade book as well, which you can see in the background. I just love to know what you got coming because man, you are young, right?
Yeah.
Young, well, you got a lot of years ahead of you. What are you working on if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what my second book is going to be about. So if you got any ideas, feel free to shoot them over to me.
Okay.
I'm listening to everything, but I'm not really I'm not sure what my second book is going to be about just yet. So I'm just working on some different stories, and I'm working on a LeBron series right now that I've been doing all series called LeBron's Power Play. So I got a big story coming out in a couple of weeks about that.
Is there a legit chance that he plays with his son in the NBA? Do you think?
I think so. I mean,
be so cool. That would be so cool.
I think it'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see, but we'll see, man. We'll see how these injuries work.
Right. So I'm maybe not going to say the title on audio here, but maybe your second book is just about the pickle juice skit from Notorious.
Yeah.
Or we can break down like the commas and the punctuation in One More Chance. The low down dirty, even like his brother Keenan. Like, damn, there's so many commas.
Yeah, man. Like he
what a verse though.
That was a classic verse for sure. That's my favorite rap video of all time. One of these days, I'm gonna run out a big brownstone in Brooklyn and recreate that video. So call your roll now.
There you go. Right. Well, a great way to end because that was one of the so many cool stories from the book is about just the remix of One More Chance and how Diddy made that happen and how that was a hit for Biggie. Must read. And again, it's called It Was All a Dream, Biggie and the World That Made Him. I want to tell you so much. Thank you for your time and really appreciate you and great luck in the future.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. The pleasure's been all mine.
Such a pleasure. What a pleasure it's been today to speak with Justin Tinsley. Continued good luck to him with his writing. So looking forward to continuing to follow his career and his important work. You can now subscribe to the Chills of Will podcast on Apple Podcasts. Please leave a 5-star review. You can also ask for it by name using Alexa. Find it on Stitcher, Spotify, and on Amazon Music. Follow me on Instagram where I'm at Chills at Will Podcast or on Twitter where I'm at Chills at Will PO1. Now, Justin, you're definitely on Twitter and Instagram. Are you TikToking?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but hold on. I can tell you what my TikTok name is right now. Give me 1 second.
Please.
Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, so my TikTok name is J Tinsley 86.
You said Justin Tinsley or Jay Tinsley?
J Tinsley.
J Tinsley 86. Do you have a lot of content up there?
Yeah, I got not as much as other people, but like you'll see like a bunch of like my videos from like around the horn up there. I need to get better at TikTok. I need to pay somebody to run my TikTok for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can watch this and other episodes on YouTube. Sign up now for the Chills at Will podcast Patreon. It can be found at patreon.com/Chills at Will podcast Peter Real. My last name is RIEHL. Check out the page that describes the benefits of a Patreon membership, including cool swag and bonus episodes. Thanks in advance for supporting my one-man show, my DIY podcast, and my extensive reading, research, editing, and promoting to keep this independent podcast pumping out high-quality content. It's a passion project of mine, a DIY operation, and I'd love for your help in promoting what I'm convinced is a unique and spirited look at an often ignored art form. The intro song for the Chills of Will podcast is Wind Down, and the other song played on the episode is Hoops Instrumental by Matt Whitehour. Both songs are used through archesaudio.com. Please tune in for episode 170 with Richard T. Rodriguez, a Renaissance man and professor of English at the University of California, Riverside. He's the author of A Kiss Across the Ocean from Duke Press, and he's Dr. Ricky on the radio at KUCR 88.3 FM. And that episode will air on March 14th. For now, thanks again for listening, and I hope that these uncertain days bring you texts by writers with mad skills like Justin Tinsley, whose work, like it was all a dream, Biggie and the world that made him, gives you chills at will.